which was described by a friend of mine as not like a problematic amount of white people, but still like a concern. Oh, hi. Yeah, hello, and welcome to The Jib. This bi-weekly podcast is about the many and varied schemes of the many and varied U.S. law enforcement and intelligence agencies, organizations, and committees, and how they are stupid and funny, and one day I will write shorter sentences. Join us on our merry journey through space and time. Hi, I'm Barry, and I asked one of my ex-wives to summarize my personality in 3 words for a dating profile, and she said, just sign the papers, Barry.
That's good. That's classic. Hi everybody, I'm Seamus, and you may know me as the guy that won't stop talking about Andor.
You know what? I'm going to say this in the green room. I'm up to episode 5
of
Andor 2.
Second season?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
It's
3 more to go. Oh,
it's good.
The next 3, dude. The next 3, you are going to be blown away.
It's a good show, and I love what they've done with it. They've chunked it into 3-episode chunks.
Yeah.
And I love that, because usually if you have 12 episodes of, let's say, one of these dark type series that they have these days, the Netflix is to blame, right? You get kind of a slow burn, and then in episode 12 you might get some kind of resolution. With Andor, you get a resolution of some kind that makes you feel some kind of way that you're watching something worthwhile. Every 3 episodes you're guaranteed some kind of a hit, and it's the way to go.
The attention to detail in this show is just incredible.
Oh, the production value is amazing.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
But it's a character-driven show.
Yeah.
In a genre that's been mainly, bang, bang, shoot 'em up stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It's a proper stage, like it's like a proper show. Yeah. It's not like a Bang Bang thing. It's all about characters and how people react to each other. And there's not really much in the way of spaceships and robots and any of the usual Star Wars stuff. Yeah. It's all quite dense character stuff, but it's great.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great. Like you could do the whole thing as a stage play. You only need like 3 or 4 sets. Mm-hmm. You could do the whole thing as a stage play, and it's powerful stuff. There are some robots and some guns and some spaceships.
Yeah, there's going to be a little more of that, but I won't spoil it for you.
Oh, okay. But at the moment, it's really just a question of getting them from one planet to another. So you could reset that up as from one town to another with horse. It'd be easy enough to move it around. But we're not here to discuss Andor, although you should watch.
We just did.
Yes. And Seamus has been telling me for a long time, you have to watch Andor season 2. You have to, because I've seen Andor season 1 and I liked it very much. And he said, I will in my own time, I will.
I threatened to go to HR, see what happens.
You did. He threatened to go to HR. I said, watch it now, Barry. Watch the show now. I said, man, I got a list of shows that I tell people I'm going to watch, and I'll put it on watch it now, you motherfucker. So I watched it now, and it turns out Seamus's advice was correct.
It's always right. I always have good advice. What he's saying. So.
Yeah. Do you remember the fucking crisis we had over trying to what we're going to name the shows about the people who aren't to do with America? What do we call this show? And then Seamus one day just comes out with Jib Jabs. It's just so perfect. I'm like, yeah, that'll do, Seamus. Well done. Done and done. We're not here to discuss how amazing Seamus is, though.
Oh, go on.
I don't, but you don't leave. I don't know what we're doing. I haven't seen the script, so I don't know what we're talking about. Seamus does this to me sometimes. I think he thinks that my off-the-cuff remarks will be funnier than anything I could come up with by way of thought. So we'll see.
I just like seeing you react. It's fun. So you are funny naturally, so it's all good. So we're going to talk about a guy that's going to sound familiar. Okay. October 19th, 1861.
Okay.
William J. Burns. Now, it's not the same as
Where the hell is William Burns?
It's not the same as that.
Oh man.
That gentleman who also had. Now it's William J. Burns.
Yes.
William J. Burns is also the same as
Where the hell is William Burns?
But I promise we're not going to talk about that particular.
Where the hell is William Burns?
We're going to talk about a different one. Okay.
Okay. Is he related to him? Do you know?
I don't think so. I tried to find that out. I didn't see. So.
Oh, okay.
But don't Google until afterwards if you want.
I will not. No.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, he was married to Anna Reisler in 1860. The couple had 6 children.
Wait. When was he born?
1861.
How could he be married to Anna Reisler in 1860?
Oh, 1880. Apologies.
Oh, okay. Carry on.
So he began his professional career in the United States Secret Service, specializing in counterfeiting cases. In 1909, he founded William J. Burns International Detective Agency.
Okay.
He was dubbed as America's Sherlock Holmes. a title he earned for clearing Leo Frank from the murder charge of Mary Fagan. I didn't go into much about that case. There is still a lot of controversy that Leo, in fact, may have been guilty, and he was just,
But he's not a lawyer. He's
and,
a private investigator.
Correct.
Okay.
So his agency quickly became a major force in private policing alongside the Pinkerton Detective Agency.
Yeah. We've done an episode or two on the Pinkertons, haven't we?
Yep. So there's a little
Mysteries of
advert.
Good Detective, yeah.
Burns' firm became a key player in the corporate war against organized labor. The early 20th century was a period of intense laboring organizing, with socialists, anarchists, and movements growing in strength across the U.S. In response, capitalists turned to private detectives to spy on, infiltrate, sabotage, and destroy labor unions.
We've discussed this before.
Burns's agency was enthusiastic to participate in this trend. In 1910, Burns was lauded for the investigation. The LA Times bombing, which killed 21 people, was attributed to union members of the Ordie, McManel, and the Namera brothers, affiliated with the Iron Workers Union. Up the IWU, as far as I'm concerned. Burns captured them with methods later criticized for corrosion and manipulation. Can you believe that?
Yes.
Then pardoned the case in the press as a moral crusade. The trial, though legally successful, framed the entire labor movement as violent, radical, and criminal. Propaganda victory for corporate America.
They're the ones declaring war on the workers.
Yep, exactly. There's him and some of his cohorts there. Eugene Debs had something to say about our hero. Quote, "There is no such thing as a criminal class in the United States except the capitalists and their tools like Burns." So he's a tool.
He is, yeah. There's 3 other tools there.
So, okay. Do you recognize the gentleman on the right?
The little kid?
No, the big guy.
No.
That is Sir Conan Doyle.
Oh, I did not recognize him. No.
He apparently is the one who dubbed him the American Sherlock Holmes.
Well, that's the guy to do it, if anyone.
Yeah, so I'm kind of disappointed to hear that, but
Oh, that's Arthur Conan Doyle that's not the stupidest thing he's done.
Well, yeah, the whole table readings and weird shit, yeah.
Oh, all sorts of weird shit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Burns Agency worked hand in hand with corporate clients to infiltrate sabotage strikes in coal fields of West Virginia and Pennsylvania. Burns operatives operated as large labor spies, posing as union sympathizers while feeding intelligence back to the mining operators. This information was used to target organizers for firing and blacklisting and arresting.
This really is like Andor, isn't it?
Yeah. You'd be surprised where this goes, though, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yay. The Burns Detective Agency was one of the primary agencies employed by the Southern Lumber Operatives Association to break the interracial union. How dare they? The Brotherhood of Timber Workers from 1910 to 1916. Burns agents infiltrated.
BTW.
Huh?
BTW.
Yep. They
Okay.
also infiltrated the IWW, the Wobblies, during an organized drive in the copper mines of Arizona. Activities included issuing fake IWW membership cards, of infiltrating the workforce, spying, and intercepting mail of the organizers. Sorry, my computer keeps doing something stupid. Oh, come on. Counting on the wrong.
Did you get a new chair
today? Yeah, this one actually is safe. And
cool.
Don't have to worry about dying in. Oh, yeah, thanks. One particular erroneous case occurred in 1922 during a railroad shopman strike, where Burns detectives were accused of planting weapons on workers and fabricating reports to justify a violent police crackdown.
Yeah.
Their anti-union playbook included disinformation campaigns in newspapers, coordinating raids with local law enforcement, surveillance of radical political figures, including Edmund Goldman and Big Bill Haywood, although Big Bill Haywood's had some kind of a traitor a little bit, if I remember right. Maybe I'm wrong. Assisting in deportation and criminalization of immigrant workers under the guise of anti-racial policing. Quote, the Burns Agency works not for justice, but for the bosses. It wages war not on crime, but on the poor.
Where did you find this guy?
Oh, you'll see.
Okay, sorry.
So now time for...
Man, going on strike in 1910 in the United States is an act of fucking bravery, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be soon. It's going to be here soon. So this gentleman that...
oh, hello. He looks happy.
Yeah. In 1914, Gaston Means joined William J. Burns Detective Agency in New York. Shortly after joining the agency, he was hired by agents of the German government to find intel on British and U.S. aid in the war effort, because we weren't in World War I at that point.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. But that was in the clear, like that was on the up and up, was it?
Well, we'll find out here in a second.
Okay.
Because at least that's what his argument was later.
Sure.
Again, prior to U.S. getting awards, the Means thought it was safe.
Yeah.
Luck would have it, Burns was on retainer by the British government to find intel on Germans. So the two would meet once a week to exchange BS stories.
There you go. Yeah.
So, yeah. So
But did he present the receipts to the IRS? That's really all you need to know.
You're exactly right. Okay. So in 1921, August, President G is for lots of fucking, Harding.
Okay.
I don't know how that rhymes, but I didn't work it out. But anyways, yeah, Warren B. fucking appointed Burns as the director of the Bureau of Investigation, a.k.a. the FBI.
Okay.
So there's our man.
Yeah.
This was a reward to his loyalty for close ties to Attorney General Harry M. Daugherty. The Bureau was a precursor to the FBI. Also, Burns continued to run the Burns Detective Agency throughout his tenure as director of the FBI.
He kept the private company on staff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a crime now, isn't it? You can't do that now.
Well, it's supposed to be a crime, but you know, things are changing. It's everything's in flux. Everything's in flux.
Yeah, you can take airplanes from the government, $400 million airplane. Did you see that? Trump.
No.
He said he took a gift of a $400 million airplane, which they're going to use as Air Force One from the Qatar, the country. And as part of the deal, at the end of his term, he will decommission the airplane and use it for himself. He won't even leave it for the presidency. I'd call that corruption, but I mean, $400 million is a lot of money.
So Burns transformed the FBI into, and by the way, I'm not going to call it the BOI because it's going to be FBI. I'm just saying it.
Sure, yeah. I do that with the CIA as well, and
Yep.
the Secret Service stuff, yeah.
So he turned it into an overtly politicized instrument of the Harding administration, weaponizing it against journalists, political operatives, and progressive reformers.
That early?
Yep.
Well, I thought that was all post-World War II stuff. Apparently not.
Nope. Burns also hired his old pal, Gaston Means,
I guess so.
as an agent. This despite him being charged with murder and espionage, both of which he dodged prosecution by claiming to have evidence on the German spies to the government. After granting immunity from his charge, he turned over a trunk he claimed to be full of said evidence. Officials found... What's that?
This is Gaston we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Officials found the trunk to be empty. Means claimed that agents from Germany must have stolen all its contents.
Okay. Yeah.
As he must have just like whistled and walked away, right?
Mormon defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Means would work with Jess Smith, who was an aide and super close BFF, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more, to A.G. Daugherty. We'll talk more about Mr. Smith later. The two would get busy by selling seized liquor to bootleggers and various shakedown schemes.
I see.
All while they're working for the Justice Department.
Yeah.
Now, under Burns' leadership, the FBI intensified its surveillance and infiltration of labor unions, socialist groups, and other leftist organizations. Agents were deployed to monitor meetings, intercept communications, and disrupt activities deemed subversive. That's a slip, yeah.
That's a different one. Yeah, that's a different problem.
Yeah.
An alternative.
Is there any Gibson here? These actions were often justified under the guise of national security, but primarily served to protect corporate interests and suppress dissent.
Okay.
The aggressive persecution and vilification of union members during this period set a precedent for the FBI's future operations under this direction. Such tactics contributed to a climate of fear and repression, undermining the rights of workers to organize and protest.
Sure they did.
Now, Daugherty and Burns were at the heart of the so-called Ohio Gang. Have you ever heard of the Ohio Gang?
Ohio?
Yeah, the Ohio Gang.
No, I've never heard of the Ohio Gang.
So it was a corrupt cabal in the administration of the Republican president Warren G. Fucking, and later Calvin Coolidge. So they kind of held on the pyre a little bit. Kind of felt like a lot of the apparatus of the Reagan administration bled into the Bush and Nixon into so forth. Yeah. Most notoriously during the Teapot Dome scandal. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
No.
Okay. 1921, under the administration of President Warren G. Harding, controlled several naval oil reserves, including Teapot Dome in Wyoming, Elk Hills, and Buena Vistas in Hills in California. Was transferred from the Naval to the Department of Interior. This transfer, authorized by executive order and ostensibly intended to streamline the administration of these reserves. So, however, Albert B. Fall, Harding's Secretary of the Interior and a long-time associate of the oil interest, used his new authority secretly to lease the Teapot Dome Reserve to Harry F. Sinclair of Mammoth Oil and the California reserves to Edward Doheny of Pan American Petroleum, all without competitive bidding, which is kind of illegal.
Yeah.
In exchange, Fall received massive sums in loans and gifts, including $100,000 in cash from Doheny, which is the equivalent of $1.5 million today.
Jesus Christ.
Over $300,000 in bonds, livestock, and other assets from Sinclair. So
tell me some newspaper got a hold of it.
Well, you wait. Despite Fall's protest, claiming of being innocent of all this, the quid pro quo became increasingly clear, as Fall himself claimed at the time, quote, "I have never received $1 from an oil man for any purpose."
Well, that's bullshit. So wait a second. These massive oil reserves were transferred from the Navy to the Department of the Interior, and from there rented out to various actual private oil men. And the guy who did that got bunches of...
Yep.
Well, that seems pretty straightforward to me, Seamus. I don't know. Call me naive.
Yeah. Now, his claim that, he did this without purpose would be proven to be a lie. I know it's hard to believe.
The way you said it would be proven to be a lie.
Daugherty, although aware of this improper activity, refused to have the Department of Justice investigate. He also faced his own scandals involving graft corporations and political intrigue. Legislators of both parties eventually pushed back on Daugherty's refusal. Still, it would take another 2.5 years before the Department of Justice saw any reforms. Newspapers first raised questions about corruption in the Harding administration early of spring 1921, after FBI officials ordered an agent to drop fraud probe to focus instead on the high price of bread. That's normal, right? That's
to redirect the FBI's attention elsewhere.
Yep. This FBI agent resigned in protest May 2020 and passed information to Congressman Roy O. Woodruff, a Republican from the great state of Michigan.
What was Harding?
What's that?
What was Harding? Is he a Republican or a Democrat?
Republican.
Okay.
I lost my spot. Sorry.
That was me.
Various other senators and representatives of both parties following Woodruff's lead cried foul and called for an investigation into the Justice Department. Seeing no results, Congressman Oscar Keller tried to impeach Daugherty but failed in 1922. Republican Party stalwarts, however, blocked the effort. As retribution, Daugherty ordered Burns to investigate all legislators trying to stand in their way. FBI agents shadowed these legislators and read their mail, listened to their phone calls, all to find something to be used against them.
Yeah.
Others had their offices searched. So now
this is insane shit for 1921.
Mm-hmm. So remember Jess Smith, which I Okay. So, Jess Smith's involvement in various scandals with the bootlegging operations stuff started making the news. So, not wanting to face any more embarrassment because all this stuff is starting to come off, right? Harding has a long talk with Dirty, and he basically tells him, hey, Smith's got to go. We can't have him here in Washington anymore.
He's toxic.
Everything's pointed at him. He's got to be the one that's, we got to have him out of here.
Radioactive.
So I'm going to read this from, I'm going to be borrowing from, something here. I'll explain what it is here in a minute. Anyways, quote, on May 30th, 1923, at the Wardman Park Inn, Smith's body was found inside the bedroom of Suite 600E, crumpled at the foot of one of two beds. In his right hand was a .32 revolver. A single bullet had plowed through Smith's right temple and lodged itself high in a door jamb. Blood-soaked Smith's purple silk pajamas, as well as the heavy carpet that must have deadened his fall. Most disturbingly, Smith's head had apparently fallen so that it was stuffed, improbably, inside a metal waste basket, so a trash can, atop the ashes of burned papers. This is from The Mysterious Death of DC Power Broker by Nathan Masters. So I've got quite a bit to say about him.
Yeah.
So before I said we'd talk more about old Jesse, well, now it's time to really have this, real chat about him, okay?
Yeah.
So Jesse Worley Smith and Harry Daugherty had grown up together in Washington Courthouse, Ohio, the county seat of rural Fayette County, which is between Columbus and Cincinnati. Although Daugherty was 11 years Smith's senior, they formed a close bond. Both of their fathers died when they were young, and the two boys filled the holes in their hearts with each other's company.
Yeah, all right.
Smith never stayed far from Daugherty's side. Town folks took to calling Jess Daugherty. Brotherly, however, was too easy to label a fix to the relationship. Indeed, it only began to describe an intense bond. Though each man had married, Smith's marriage at age 36 to 19-year-old Roxy Stinson had only lasted 2 short years, while Daugherty's invalid wife, Lucy, now rarely left the quarters at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. That's convenient.
Yeah.
Quote, they were the most intimate of friends, Stinson, Smith's ex-wife, said. Quote, it just adored him. He lived for him. He loved him.
Yeah, all right, calm down. Calm down, ex-wife.
An acquaintance once observed, a word of praise or an expression of appreciation from the Attorney General would cause Jess to purr happily.
They're sounding.
No, they're just sounding in love.
Yeah.
The affection was clearly mutual. When Smith once traveled back to Ohio without Daugherty, the Attorney General sent a flurry of telegrams professing his loneliness and urging Smith's prompt return. Smith wired
flowers.
Exactly. Smith wired back, signing his cables, "Your little friend Jesse," which is kind of creepy.
Yeah, not that little.
That's Harding on the right and Daugherty on the left.
Okay. And
that's Smith.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't say he's little because he looks kind of big there.
Well, maybe little doesn't refer to his stature in general, but rather.
Oh, easy though. The unusual intimacy eventually spawned rumors. Maybe it was little Jesse, right? Spawned rumors. Oh, God, seriously, look at Warren Gene Harding's sex life. It's fucking insane. He wrote letters and
or is it insane fucking?
Well, some of it was really creepy because he liked very young girls too. But the one that was an adult he was corresponding with, he would refer to Jerry. Jerry really missed Miss Powdersmith. Jerry is really tired from all this time he spent with Miss Powdersmith over the weekend. Yeah. Okay. That unusual intimacy.
Give Jerry 20 minutes to recover.
Yeah.
Jerry's not a machine, though. All right.
After that sandwich, Jerry felt better. Now,
Yeah.
eventually spawned rumors of sexual component to the relationship, and Smith only fanned the gossip with his satirical choices. No matter what room he entered, Smith, tall, portly, with close-chopped mustache, as we see,
Yeah.
round owlish glasses, was always the best dressed man. At one public appearance, he was described as a symphony of gray and lavender.
Lavender.
Maybe. If Smith and Daugherty actually were lovers, there no evidence survives, but the closest of them, the Hardings, for instance, always treated them as a duo.
They're holding hands in their graves.
Maybe. No, I don't think they're buried together, but whatever the exact nature of the relationship, Daugherty considered Smith indispensable, and not just of their intimacy or because Smith carried his bags and opened his doors, but Smith lacked in intelligence, refinement. His education stopped at school, at high school, rather. He was a vocational, he read a lot of detective novels. That was pretty much his education, right? He also made up for jolly, just charismatic goof guy, right? He was never afraid to buttonhole a passerby at the courthouse square with what you know, guys like that. And despite his unfortunate habit of spraying listeners with saliva, quote, "Here comes Jess Smith. Get out your umbrellas." He excelled at making friends.
Oh, nice. Well, it's a skill.
He's just like
making
that.
friends is a skill. That's great.
Yeah. But I wouldn't want to shower from this guy's.
No.
As less socially inept, Daugherty grew in political stature and began venturing outside his native Ohio. Smith helped him navigate black tie affairs as well as other, high society political type happenings. When in the late 1919, 59-year-old Daugherty was named the campaign manager of the then long shot Warren G. Harding, Smith made one of the first donations. By the time the long shot won the nomination and then the White House, Smith had been admitted to Harding's inner circle. He abandoned his department store where he had been working all his life, relocated with Daugherty to the Capitol, where they took up temporary lodgings in a house at 1509 H Street, owned by millionaire Ned McLean, publisher of the Washington Post.
Yay.
So I'm sure that was just out of the goodness of that guy's heart.
Yeah.
The president-elect considered appointing Smith commissioner of the Indian Affairs or treasurer. Two positions were grossly unqualified for him. Shortly after Harry Daugherty was sworn in as the nation's 51st Attorney General, Smith followed him to the 6th floor of the Justice Department building and basically just, became his personal aide, right?
Yeah.
God damn this computer. Though he refused a place on the government payroll, he was a common sight inside the Justice headquarters, dictating letters to the department secretaries, flitting out in other bureaucratic duties. He could also be seen shuttling back and forth forth to the green limousine outside K Street, where Daugherty's Ohio friends, as in the Ohio game, kept their political patrons' files, a comprehensive record of who owed what, and dispositions of favors to the administration. That he enjoyed imperial access to the levels of power and political influence was also widely known.
Is this but Harding's in on all this then?
What's that?
Harding is in on all this. He's part of the racket.
Okay, so that's one of those things we never know. He was kind of considered like George W. Bush, like a fucking idiot. Everybody considered him just a fucking moron. So we don't know if he was just blissfully ignorant of what was going on, or he was.
Okay.
We don't know. There's this.
Right.
Daugherty was not home the fateful morning. The Attorney General had been absent the past 2 nights. They were living together, if you didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, I heard
at the moment, was still asleep in the yellow bedroom in the White House guest room called in blonde decor. That's why it's called the yellow room. Knowing that Smith couldn't sleep when they weren't sharing a room, Daugherty had dispatched his Justice Department assistant Barney Martin to stay in the adjacent bedroom. It was Martin who fetched Burns after hearing a great crash in the other room. So Burns is the first person there.
Okay.
So the head of the FBI is the one who's going to be the first guy to show up on scene. That May morning in the Wardman Park suite, Burns made a cursory search of the body. He removed the revolver from Smith's hand and then went through his pajamas pockets. Inside, he found a last will scribbled in pencil on the Wardman Park stationery dated 2 days prior. Burns called the White House. It was not yet 7 in the morning, so there was some delay to getting the president to the phone. When the president got on the phone, quote, "This is Burns of the Bureau of Investigation, Mr. President. I am deeply sorry to bother you at such an hour, but there's been a dreadful news, and I wanted you to be the first to hear it." Harding demanded that Burns spill it out. "Jess Smith has committed suicide." The line went silent for a moment. Then Harding answered, "That's terrible, Mr. Burns. Simply terrible." Now, Dwyer, who was the hotel manager, had been present for this phone call. He said that the president urged secrecy until he heard, anyways, until he had a chance to break the news to Daugherty's family personally, or to Daugherty personally, rather, I should say. Yeah. Harding also suggested that Lieutenant Commander Joel T. Boone, a naval physician second to the White House, be ordered to the scene. And so it was that the president's personal doctor, rather than a District of Columbia's coroner, made the first medical examination of Jesse's body.
Jesus. So the FBI guy was first, and then this fucking non-agency doctor.
Yep. Boone immediately declared Smith dead, self-evident conclusion, and just quickly judged that it was a suicide. Only
That's
after
the level
Burns,
of investigation we've come to expect, isn't it? Yeah, self-evidently he killed himself. That's it.
Only after Burns had searched the room and Boone had inspected the body were other investigators admitted to the crime scene. Dwyer summoned the Ward Park's house detective, who in turn alerted police at the local precinct. When the officers finally arrived, followed by Coroner Ramsey Nevitt, no one dared to remark that the revolver had gone missing.
What?
Burns had apparently, quote, misplaced it.
Where is that? The revolver that was in his hand? Oh,
he had already left.
Where is his brain?
But he was not the man to trifle with, and even if he had tampered with the crime scene, nobody was going to say anything, right?
This is the worst investigation ever.
One detail could not escape notice, however. How, quote, Patrolman L.R. Keach, could a man shoot himself and then get his head into a basket?
Yeah, maybe he was helped.
Yep. But that just was never known.
But Harding is the guy who gave the order to do something about Smith, right?
Yep. He told
Daugherty. He was sort of like, well, no one.
He told Daugherty, his boyfriend, basically.
Turbulent
right?
priest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Lording over the crime scene, the director of the FBI discouraged a thorough search of forensic evidence. Instead, Burns offered up a compelling narrative of suicide for the D.C. authorities. He and Smith had been social acquaintances. Smith, he reported, had suffered from chronic diabetes. This is also something Daugherty would repeat whenever he was asked about it. Boone, who had treated Smith himself on occasion, knew that a wound from his recent, he had his appendix out, right? Yeah. Had never quite healed, and backed up Burns' conclusion, ascribing to the fact to, quote, brooding over his physical condition.
Wait, no, I have diabetes.
Yeah. What, you're not going to go kill yourself? What are you saying?
No, I mean, not over that.
Jeez.
If I made a list of all the things that I'm going to kill myself over, that's going to be like very far down that list, the diabetes.
Right. So the other coroner, Nevitt, knelt down beside the body, noted the powder burns around the intra-wound, and dutifully signed a certificate of suicide. So, got two coroners to agree whether or not they really wanted to. Right? Yeah.
That's bizarre.
Uh-huh.
Because presumably, if you wanted to frame himself for his own murder, for his suicide, it would be in your interest to just leave the thing there, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Well, what benefit is it to take it away?
so nobody could check it for fingerprints or anything. Maybe I don't
You
know.
want his fingerprints on it. You want to see the fingerprints.
Maybe I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either, man. Anyway, go
Yeah.
on. Sorry.
That's okay. Later, all the details and unanswered questions would arouse much more suspicion within
Unanswered
Washington.
questions.
Lawmakers would wonder aloud why the coroner failed to order an autopsy.
Yeah, I am also
Sure.
wondering aloud.
Uh-huh. Journalists would ask how Daugherty, who was a cabinet officer, earned $12,000 a year, and Smith, who drew no government salary, could afford a lavish lifestyle as that of the Wood Park.
Oh, he
Sweet.
wasn't on staff. He wasn't hired.
Smith never got a
Oh, I thought he was on
salary.
staff.
And Daugherty only made $12,000 a year. Yet the expenses to stay there would be over $50,000. So
Okay, there's a
who's
there.
paying the bill? Who's paying the bill? They would question how
The
Smith.
guy in the little green car, I think, is probably
Yeah.
something to do with it.
They would question how Smith, a man definitely afraid of firearms, could ever handle a revolver, let alone held it to his temple and pulled the trigger. And they would puzzle over how the federal government's top investigator, America's most famous detective, somehow misplaced the key to the crime scene, the suicide weapon.
You misplaced the
Yeah,
pistol.
yeah, we don't know where it's at.
Okay.
In Washington, many found all this to be rather suspicious.
Yeah.
Alabama Senator James Thomas Heflin did not buy the ruling of suicide and alleged otherwise, first in an investigative hearing and later on the floor of the House of the Senate. Quote,
Classic.
nobody else knew what he, Smith, knew, and with him dead, there nobody to tell his story. So Jess Smith was murdered. Senator Heflin initially, he followed up 2 days later in the Senate, quoting an Alabama bootlegger. Quote, Secretary Mellon loaned the Republican National Committee $5 million in 1920. Only $3 million has been repaid to that deficit. Of $2 million, Jess Smith was charged with getting the money. The plan was to have the liquor men and the breweries contribute to this fund. That is one of the reasons why they wanted to get rid of Jess Smith.
Okay.
So they're saying it all, but nothing really happened with it. So that's one of world's life's little mysteries. What happened to Jess Smith?
Yeah.
By October 1923, some 6 months after the news of the Teapot Dome scandal finally broke, Senator Thomas Walsh, a Democrat from Montana, finally began to investigate the Teapot Dome as a member of the Public Lands Committee. A few months later, Democrat Senator Burton Wheeler, via Select Committee, also began investigating Daugherty's attempt to halt any investigation in a Teapot Dome scandal. Other senators, including Republicans, met with then President Calvin Coolidge, urged him to pressure Daugherty to resign, and Coolidge did nothing. Daugherty boasted it in February 1929 as a report by the Lincoln, Nebraska newspaper Journal Star quoted him saying, quote, "I'm no quitter." Quietly, Burns tasked his agents, some undercover, with developing a bogus influence peddling bribery case against Senator Wheeler. Allies also sought information about Senator Walsh to smear him. The FBI spurious probes resulted in federal indictments in Montana against Wheeler.
Against
April
Wheeler?
8th. Yep. On April 8th, 1924, for influence peddling bribery. Right. Wheeler was easily exonerated, and
Yeah, imagine so.
yeah. Burns later refused to turn over Department of Justice documents to congressional investigators,
Point those in the wrong direction, gentlemen.
who in turn began investigating the FBI.
Oh, look out.
I want to get rid
There
of
he is.
Mr. I also want to get rid of Mr. Smith.
Yeah, we almost everyone is here. Bye, Jess.
They began to investigate the FBI. Senate hearings, revelations of the FBI misleading were covered in the press and became known as the Daugherty Burns scandal.
Yeah.
Burns FBI field agents made visits to the offices of newspapers around the country who had presented that the FBI's actions in a negative light. They clumsily attempted to intimidate newspaper editors caused a backlash in public opinion and the Congress.
This is the FBI agents try to shake down newspaper editors
Yep.
in the middle of an investigation into their affairs.
Yep.
Fuck yeah. That's it, lads. We're back, guys. We're back.
Public outrage led to Burns' forced resignation in June 1924 by newly appointed Attorney General Harlan Fiske Stone. Quote,
Okay.
the Bureau... Oh, I have to get ready for this one.
Your photo game is on point this episode.
It may be, maybe not. We'll see. So, Fiske said, quote, the Bureau must be reformed from politics and administration without fear. So Stone then selected a young bureaucrat named J. Edgar Hoover to be the head of the FBI.
Returning champion.
Yep. So, all that politics and stuff and, all those games don't just go away now. It's all good now.
It's in safe hands. It's in safe hands. A safe pair of hands. The FBI. Problem solved, right?
Yep. There'll be no more about this guy.
Cash Patel is in charge of it now, isn't he?
Oh, just wait till we get to the next segment.
Oh, okay.
Of the show, not of the story. So, in November 1927, Harry F. Sinclair won on trial in federal court for conspiracy to defraud the U.S., from the leasing of the Teapot Dome scandal, right? At the request of Sinclair oil executives, Henry Manson Day, Burns secretly hired a squad of 14 men from the William J. Burns Detective Agency to investigate his jurors.
Oh, come on.
Yes. Day arranged for their compensation and received daily reports.
Morons.
Yep.
They're not very bright, are they?
Midway through the trial, the government investigators discovered Burns' agents, and the mistrial was immediately declared.
Good.
A new hearing, Sinclair's defense was that he had the jurors followed to protect them from federal influence.
It'd be a shame if something happened to it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, right.
Nice federal influence you got there.
Yeah. But the operatives made direct contact with the jurors, so nobody bought that. Sinclair was convicted of corruption charges and sentenced to 6 months in jail. Day was in prison for 4 months. William J. Burns got 15 days. Burns' son, William Esther Burns, had to pay a $1,000 fine. William, our hero, that Burns, appealed and he got his conviction overturned, so he didn't even spend a day in jail. Albert B. Fall, the actual Fall guy, right?
Yeah.
Was found guilty of accepting bribes in 1929 and became the first former U.S. cabinet member to be imprisoned. He served 1 year in jail and was fined $100,000. Edward Doherty, despite admitting he gave Fall $100,000 loan, was acquitted of the bribery and he got away.
He was acquitted of the bribery that the other guy was convicted for. That doesn't work.
That he gave him money. Yeah. Doherty, not Doney. Doherty, he got charged. He got off. He had like 6 other scandals that they tried to get him on. He never got. Basically, he just had to resign like Burns did.
Okay.
And he just went back to private practice.
It's like a Watergate thing.
And he retired and lived to his 81. So he never faced anything for having his buddy killed. Yep. Burns' tenure laid the groundwork for surveillance state that would come into full fruition under Hoover, where Burns introduced the idea of a federal police force as a political weapon. Hoover institutionalized it. But the origins of the domestic spying, anti-communist witch hunts, and the suppression of leftist political activities trace back directly to Burns. An investigative journalist, Fred J. Cook, once wrote in The FBI Nobody Knows, quote, Burns was a prototype. His gift for political intimidation through policing made him dangerous. Hoover only professionalized what Burns made possible. Even after his resignation, Burns continued working private security. His agency merged and evolved into what would be Burns International Security Agency, later would be absorbed, just like Pinkerton's, into Securitas AB, which is what they are today. His methods, labor surveillance, corporate espionage, suppression of the dissent, did not disappear. They are simply privatized, globalized, and normalized. Burns died in 1932. Still celebrated figure as in conservative law enforcement circles for his labor organizers, socialist, civil liberations. His name remains associated with anti-democratic suppression.
Mm.
So there's a
article.
AB
is just like the Swedish version of Limited.
Yeah. So whatever I was reading about Kash Patel.
Yeah.
Everybody tried to compare him to Hoover. He was a lot more like this guy. He's a lot like this guy. Yeah.
Hoover wasn't a fuckwit. Whatever else you say about him, he was smart.
Yeah. Which leads to our next segment.
Where the hell is William Burns?
No, not that one. Sorry. One more time. We had to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, but this time.
This is what's new. In this part of our podcast, Seamus puts the FBI into Google and I put CIA into Google, and we both hit the news tab and see what interesting stuff crops up just from this week of madness. Will I go first, or do you want to go first?
Since it's FBI, I'll just roll along real quick. So I'm going to kind of abbreviate the two that I had. Well, I actually had three. Two of them are about Kash Patel. So earlier this week, he was supposed to have his budget hearing.
Yeah.
And he failed to have his budget ready.
What?
Yeah. And he couldn't give them a time of when it was going to be done or anything. He's asking for
more money. Do you have any idea what he's doing?
No, that's what the other article says.
Oh,
because all the normal duties of the FBI director, the meetings, he's constantly late or cancels them.
Oh, God.
He's changed it to like they're supposed to have like
does he know that he doesn't have to come up with a budget himself? There's a guy at the FBI with a team of people to do that for him. He just has to make a phone call.
He claims that the people he told to do it are still working on the numbers. Although he's been like privately complaining they haven't been giving him enough money.
He's been seen with a sketchbook and a pencil writing out numbers, has he, in a corner of the FBI building?
Yeah.
That's $2 per coffee. And
so the other thing is Boston area climate activists report visits from the FBI. So apparently a lot of climate activists in this area have been in Massachusetts have been visited by the FBI asking questions about posts about pro-Palestinian protesters.
Climate activists.
So
okay. Well, I guess bombing, like blanket bombing and dropping massive firebombs in refugee camps is indeed bad for the environment.
Yeah. And I always just wonder, like, why? I mean, okay, maybe I'm terrible. Can we just say anti-genocide protesters? Because that's what you should be calling.
Yeah.
What you should be calling yourself. If somebody would come up to me and say, excuse me, it seems that you're a pro-Palestinian. No, I'm anti-genocide. That's what I am.
Yeah, there's people...
That's where I'm at first.
Yeah, there's people talking about this who don't actually give a shit about Palestine.
Yeah.
they're just against genocide.
I do care about Palestine.
Oh, yeah, I do.
But I'm against genocide, period.
Yeah.
So, fuck off.
Yeah.
That's basically all I got, so.
Okay. This is the official position of the Jib, is that we're against genocide, which I would have thought to be obvious, but you would be fucking surprised. There's people out there who think it's okay because they're Muslims or because they're Palestinians or Arab, dirty, fucking greasy desert Arabs, right? Anyway, that's not why we're here. My CIA links. This was from Al Jazeera, the ever reliable news source, unless you're talking about Qatar stuff. Everything else, they're great. CIA releases videos coaxing Chinese officials to leak secrets to the US. Have you heard about this? Have you seen this? Heard about this? Social media campaign, where are we? The CIA has launched a Chinese language social media campaign calling on government officials in China to switch sides and leak secrets to the United States. The two videos released on Thursday depict fictional scenes involving Chinese officials who approach the top intelligence agency after becoming disillusioned with the ruling Communist Party of China. There's a whole article after that on Al Jazeera, and it is brilliant. It delivers on the promise of the first two sentences, all right? The next one is, this is a very niche thing, but I thought it was kind of funny. In the Financial Times of England, Bulgarian spy helped Wirecard's Marsalek plan Kabul airlift for CIA, court told, right? Wirecard is the name of a financial company. Okay. Marsalek is the name of a guy. Kabul is a city in Afghanistan.
Right.
A Bulgarian spy helped them. So a Bulgarian spy helped this company's guy plan Kabul airlift for CIA. The leader of a Bulgarian spy ring helped Wirecard fugitive Jan Marsalek organized an airlift of 200 personnel from Kabul for the CIA during the military retreat from Afghanistan in 2021, a court in London has heard. And there's a whole thing there in the Financial Times. And the only reason they mention it is they're trying to mitigate because he's got this huge fucking international fraud case against him. And they're saying, well, if he rescues these CIA guys, surely he's like not all bad. That's like the only reason they bring it up. And it's really funny. And it's on the Financial Times if you want to check it out. My third one is, the CIA turned, this is the headline, not the sentence. Okay. The CIA turned a San Francisco brothel into a lab. What happened inside is the stuff of nightmares. And in the 50s and 60s, a man who followed a prostitute into an apartment at 2025 Chestnut Street in San Francisco's Telegraph.
Can I take a guess?
Go on.
Is it MK Ultra?
Part of MK Ultra, the agency's broader and highly controversial mind control research program, Operation Midnight Climax, began in 1954. The whole thing, we're probably going to talk about all this stuff again.
Oh, yeah.
That's a thing that is on Popular Mechanics, which you would not expect to find it there. But there's a big, long-ass article, and again, it is very amusing. If you want to check it out, it isn't MK Ultra is correct, yeah.
Fucking disturbing shit that goes on.
It is, but it's funny.
So kind of funny, but there's also some fucking.
Oh, it's dark.
Shit that goes down.
It's very dark, but it's also hilarious. Yeah. And that is all I have on our CIA links. So I guess, is that our show?
Yeah, it's up to you for next week or 2 weeks from now.
I'm halfway through. I can't guarantee I'm going to deliver it on time, but I'm halfway through an episode on Albania. So we might be talking about Albania next time. So in 2 weeks' time, fingers crossed, Albania. Until then.
Alrighty, guys. See y'all in 2 weeks. Bye.
Good luck.